Good morning. I am the host of Maskgirl News, Lee Joo-hee announcer. Today, we broadcast our news with a special guest, Brain Dr. Oh. Nice to meet you, Dr. Oh.
Nice to meet you. I'm glad to admit this news.
Before broadcasting, I want to give you one question. Have you ever heard of the novel Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? In this novel, Dr. Jekyll is a diligent, intelligent, and respected individual. On the other hand, Hyde actively harms others and even commits murder. Surprisingly, they are the same person. Some psychologists regard it as not just a separation between good and evil, but a separation between persona and shadow. But what exactly is persona and shadow? Doctor, can you tell us?
Okay. First, persona is what I want to show or be perceived as to society. Having a persona is not a bad thing, as it means to adapt to society. However, in the case of excessively reinforcing persona, you may lead a life of putting emphasis on appearance. Shadow is a dark aspect that includes violent and selfish desires.
Then do we have to suppress our shadow?
Just like you, many people think they should suppress their shadow and show their persona, and they condemn others doing violent and selfish behaviors. Just like this, the phenomenon that we don't face our shadow and shift onto others is called projection. In conclusion, we all have shadows. It is not unnatural to have violent thoughts. We just need to accept such a mindset and solve it in mentally healthy way. This way is to balance between persona and shadow.
Oh, I have a story about it. In the novel we discussed earlier, Dr. Jekyll separates his good and evil sides through drugs. Dr. Jekyll failed to harmonize his persona and shadow. He attempted to separate himself from his evil nature, shadow. He defined his shadow as an entirely separate entity from himself. Ultimately, this prevented him from facing his own shadow, and as a consequence, he committed suicide, losing his true self.
Oh, that's so horrible.
Yeah. The above figure shows that failing to integrate persona and shadow can cause pain to oneself and others. Then, how can we balance our persona and shadow? For Dr. Jekyll, he had to admit that he had violent and antisocial behavior, instead of separating himself into Jekyll and Hyde. If he had made the choice to face his shadow, he might have potentially improved his mental state.
Then, we will finish this news. Thank you for listening.
Excuse me, sir. You missed the most important content.
Sorry, please introduce yourself.
I'm a companion of Dr. Oh. Can I add some additional contents about persona?
Sure.
We all have both persona and shadow in our minds. People wear their own images as masks they want others to see, while simultaneously hiding away what they don't want seen. However, as we have shown, if we don't balance the persona and shadow together, we can lose our true selves. Therefore, it is of key importance that we balance the persona and shadow. By balancing the persona and shadow, we can accept and love ourselves. This is the ultimate reason why we need to balance the persona and shadow. Where are you between persona and shadow?
Thank you for listening to our presentation.